So here is an important caution for aspirants. So students nicely they are looking at time frames to pay attention to high weightage topics and trying to complete it first, where usually educators are giving them inputs on which chapters in the recent past have been given high weightage. But one important point that students should be noting, it's a very important aspect, considering your JEE main recent trends, that you have some questions in either physics or chemistry or maths which are like conceptually easy, but calculation wise they are a little bit tricky. So this is one aspect where aspirants tend to ignore that calculation, okay, I will be able to manage it, and they pay attention to concept oriented problem solving. Well, concept oriented problem solving is definitely a very important aspect considering competitive examinations. But also in the recent past, especially in the numerical type questions, and also in objective single correct type questions, JEE main has tested questions where you need to kind of do some calculation by making some assumptions, some good approximations, so that the calculation becomes easy, and then from the given options you will be able to pick the correct uh, a numerical answer. So I'll just give you one such example. While you as an aspirant for 2023, when you are practicing, ensure that you are going to be paying attention to all these points where calculations are involved. Don't neglect calculations, and also be little smart. Try to look at the options. If the options are like very close, then you need to figure out ways how to predict which will be the most correct answer out of the given options, so that you don't end up losing a lot of time in your JEE main. See, JEE main is it's a examination where even 2 to 3 minutes, if you're going to save, you will be able to attempt one more question, and you should not end up like spending some 5 to 10 minutes on a question which is conceptually easy, but then you need to literally work with numbers, and then you end up spending a lot of time in calculation. So I'll just give you one such example where some uh, good approximations can be made. You need to figure out ways how to manipulate numbers, particularly manipulating numbers. This has been the game which JEE main has introduced in a few questions. How good a aspirant is maybe in manipulating numbers in certain ways, so that they can get the answers which is going to be very close to the option, and then pick it, or maybe make some assumptions, so that they will ask you answer rounded off to the nearest integer. I'll just present you one such question which has been tested in the recent past, where if you are not going to make certain approximations, getting the numerical answer for this ends up becoming very, very tedious. I'll just present it to you, see how you can kind of work with such questions. So do try the question which I'm going to be sharing on the screen, and then I'll present you my way of approaching it. Now, the concept part of it, I'll quickly explain the concept part of it, and then you see the last step, the calculation part of it, how you can manipulate that particular numbers, so that you get the required answer, right? So I'll just present it on the screen. Do take a look at it. So yeah, here is the question. Do try it out. Yeah, hopefully you have given it a try. So now here there is an asteroid which is moving directly towards the center of the earth when it is at a distance of 10 r. So I've shown that in the diagram. So assume that when it is at 10 r, its velocity is u, which is given to be 12 kilometer per second. And when it just reaches the earth's surface, we need to find the velocity. We are neglecting earth's atmosphere, so we can go about conserving the energy. So initially the energy is half m u square minus g m divided by 10 r. This will be equal to half m v square minus g m divided by r. So from here we need to get what is going to be v value. So what I'll do, I'll cancel half m on both sides, half small m on both sides, and I'll rearrange this and write it. So once I rearrange this and write it, I'll tell you what expression I'm going to be getting. So when you rearrange this equation, you will get v square equal to u square plus 9 by 5 into gm by r. So till here it is fine. Now after this is where things get a little bit tricky. We need to get the value of v to the nearest integer in kilometer per second. So what I'm going to be doing is, now note that escape velocity expression, I'll write it next to the diagram. So escape velocity square, that will be equal to 2g capital M divided by r from the surface. And now I'm going to manipulate the expression that we have and write it as v square equal to, now u square will be 12 square, and then I'll write this as 9 by 10 into 2gm by r. 2gm by r will be escape velocity square, which will become like 11.2 the whole square from the surface of Earth. Now this is a set of number that we have. Now from here you try to find out what is going to be v value. Now you are not allowed to use calculators, and you need to be working with these numbers. See what is the best way that you can come up with to get the value of v to the nearest integer. Right. So now see how this can be nicely manipulated. Whatever method you had adopted, now see how I am presenting it to you. Now note that 9, that number 9 is a square, so it can be written as like 3 square. So I'm going to try and evaluate this term first. Now for evaluating this, what I'm going to do a manipulation of this sort. So I'm going to write this as 1 by 10 into 3 square into 11.2 whole square, or I'll take 3 and multiply it with 11.2 and I'll take whole square. Now 3 into 11.2 will become like 33.6 whole square. Now 33.6, I can approximate it like 33.33, somewhere around that. Why I'm making this approximation is, now 33.33 can be written like 100 by 3. So 33.6, which is there, I'm going to express that as 100 by 3 and write this as 1 by 10 into 100 by 3 whole square, which is upon simplification going to become 1000 divided by 9. And I have 12 square plus 1000 divided by 9. So v square is going to be 12 square plus 1000 upon 9. Now see if you can go about simplifying this expression, which would be like 12 into 3 the whole square plus 1000 divided by 3 square. Right? Now that becomes like 36 square. Now 36 square, you must be in a position to quickly evaluate. So 36 square plus 1000 divided by 9. That number you can relatively evaluate it with ease, instead of squaring like 11.2 whole square, multiplying it with 9 and then dividing it by 10. So calculations become quite a bit of fuzzy over there. So now 12 into 3 whole square becomes like 36 square plus 1000. That is very easy to calculate. 36 square it and then add it with 1000 divided by 9. Right? So now I will leave it for you to proceed with this and get v square. You will get v square to be approximately 256, and hence v value will be approximately 16 kilometer per second. Okay, so this is how you are going to work with numbers and calculations. So practice questions where calculations are involved without calculators. That is also another important aspect of your preparation. Get used to manipulating numbers. Right? If you have a question which is conceptually pretty much straightforward, and then there are 4 options with numerical values and calculations are becoming tricky, see how you can manipulate the numbers that you have, and then use it in the approximated way to match with one of the options. Especially if options are given, it becomes little bit easier than in the numerical part. Right? So pay attention to this one very important aspect of calculations. Right? And all the very best 2023 aspirants.